Hello and welcome to Luna and the Druid, a channel where we talk about magic, spirituality, tarot, will of year, druidism, and all other sorts of cool magical stuff. I am Luna, and I'm here with my fellow tarot reader Jan, the Druid. I thought you were going to say hi. And today we have a special episode with a very special guest, Julie Embleton. Hello, Julie, and it's so nice to see you and have you here.
Hi, and thank you very much for having me. It's lovely to be here. I'm
Well,
usually on the other side of the screen, so it's strange to be on this side of it this week.
well, you have a view from the inside now, and welcome,
Yes.
and nice to meet you.
And
We
you
haven't
too,
been,
Jan.
we haven't
You
met
too.
before.
No, no. So it's a special night for more than one reason.
Yeah, and I know from experience that when you meet someone, you occasionally watch on YouTube. It's like you know them already, but I didn't see you before, of course. But of
Yeah.
course, I feel like I know you already. Anyway,
No, that's good.
nice to meet you.
Yes. So, tonight we have a very intriguing and interesting topic prepared for our viewers tonight. But before we reveal the secret, what we're going to talk about here, Julie, would you like to introduce yourself and tell our viewers who are you? What do you do?
So, hello everyone. My name is Julie, and I am a dark fantasy author, and I'm also a tarot reader. I'm from Dublin, so quite a distance away from both Luna and Jan, but within the same country. And it's lovely to be here this evening. As I mentioned, I usually watch the show from the other side of the screen, but it's really an honor to be here. And Luna and I know each other a little while, and we are huge lovers of tarot and oracles. So it's lovely to be here this evening to talk about all these things together.
Thank you. It's wonderful to have you. Thank you for accepting our invitation. Yes. So how about we just jump into our tonight's topics, because we are about to celebrate a very special night, a very special day within Irish culture, as well as a pagan and druidic culture. Yeah. Would you like to reveal our secret?
You're on silent, Jan.
We can't hear you.
I'm
We
back, I
love
think.
technical.
I'm
Yes,
back, I
we are
think.
back.
Okay. Yeah. Well, this week, I believe it's Thursday. It's the 1st of February. And in the Irish language, February is called Imbolc. So it's the month of Imbolc starts. It also means the start of the end of winter. So we're going towards springtime. And we celebrate at Imbolc the goddess Brigid, the one of the quintessential and most important goddesses of Ireland. And we are so lucky to have you here, Julie, because we know that you are someone who has worked a lot with this archetypal, or maybe not archetypal, but I always call goddesses and gods archetypal figures. And yeah, yeah, just tell me what can you tell us what's your view on the festival?
Well, it's a lovely time of year, and really one of the big changes in Ireland now is that there's been quite a revival around Bridget. And last year, 2023, the Irish government introduced a new bank holiday into our calendar, and this year it's this day week actually, the 5th of February is St. Bridget's Day, which is lovely because traditionally she would have been celebrated on the 1st of February with Imbolc, but now she has a festive day all to herself, which is really nice. And it's good to see that she's being woven more and more into the fabric of our daily lives. So, yeah, it's good.
Yeah, lovely. I remember seeing a few years ago that even the president of Ireland wrote a letter to all women of Ireland at exactly this day, the day of Saint, the day of Bridget. Can you remember that?
Okay,
Oh,
I
no,
don't
you didn't see it?
know.
I have
No.
a copy somewhere, but that's what I
Ah,
remember. So that it's probably around the same time that the bank holiday was introduced, and it was to, yeah, to emphasize the importance of it for the Irish people,
mm,
especially the women, because it's she's very, yeah, a very powerful female archetype, isn't she?
she is. Mm, definitely. Yeah. Yeah.
Julie, I know you have a special connection with Brigid. Would you like to talk about it and tell us more about what brings you and what is so powerful and so magnetic about Brigid that you feel so close with that
Sure.
energy?
Sure, I'd love to. Well, what I can do is I can start and give you a little bit of history about Bridget the goddess and Bridget Saint and take you through some of that. Okay,
Great.
so most commonly, Bridget is known as a figure of healing and inspiration. And she takes two forms. So we have the goddess form, where she was possibly called Brig or Brigid in her goddess form originally. And then we have her saint form, which is Bridget. And in her goddess form, she was a member of the Tuatha De Danann, which in Celtic mythology were a supernatural race of gods and goddesses. So the Tuatha De Danann were depicted in mythology as kings and queens, heroes, warriors. They were bards and poets and healers. And Bridget, the goddess Bridget, was one of these, and she was both a poet and a healer. So a lot of these associations with the goddess Bridget carried through to her saint form. And today she's regarded as the patron saint of healers, midwives, blacksmiths, poets, and she's also known as the guardian of water and wells. And because she spans both the pagan and the Christian world, there is a lot of mystery surrounding Bridget. There's a lot of, myth and folklore that exists around her, and a lot of it is shrouded in mystery. Some say, for example, that Bridget is just one person, but other people will tell you that Bridget's actually three people. And the three aspects of Bridget that we know, the healer, the poet, and the blacksmith, were three sisters, three separate sisters. Um, it said in her goddess form, she married one of the leaders of the Tuatha De Danann called Brez. And then there's other stories that say she married another man called Tyrone. And in her saint form, it says she didn't marry at all, that her father wanted her to marry, but she didn't want to because she wanted to devote her time to the poor and helping animals. And in fact, there's a folklore around how she tried to get out of marriage. And apparently she was a very beautiful woman. So she plucked out one of her eyes. So there's there, hello, Karma. She plucked out one of her eyes to get out of being married. But there's another version of that story where, in fact, she plucked out the eye of her husband to be because she didn't like the way he was looking at him. As we say in Ireland, if someone looks crooked at you, and obviously he must have been looking crooked at her. There's a story that she plucked out his eye, but that's the Saint Bridget. But to explain really how Bridget Goddess and Bridget the Saint became amalgamated as one, I'll take you back to about 430 AD, which is when Christianity kind of reached the shores of Ireland. So Bridget was born roughly around 451 AD, and she died roughly about 524 AD. And at that time, the church was really struggling to get pagans to convert. And one of the deities that the pagans were refusing to give up outright was Bridget. And at that time, she would have represented so many vital aspects of Celtic life, as a healer, as a poet, blacksmith. She was involved in midwifery, and all of those aspects would have been so integral to the way of life in Ireland at the time. There was just no way the pagans were going to give her up. So it said that in a bid to convince the pagans to convert, they brought the goddess Bridget into the church to amalgamate her with the Saint Bridget at the time. So when you consider that Saint Bridget reportedly died around 524 AD, at that time, the miracles of her healing were well known and they had been widespread. So very soon after Saint Bridget died, she was being prayed to as a saint. I think even before she was canonized, people were looking at Bridget as being a saint. So you can see at that time with how the monks were struggling to get the pagans to convert, and they had the Goddess Brigid and they had the Saint Bridget, how easily the two forms came together. And around that time as well, I suppose there were more stories of Saint Bridget than the Goddess Brigid. I mean, it's very difficult to find a substantial story about the Goddess Brigid. I have a book here at home. It's Peter Beresford Ellis's book. It's the Mammoth Book of Celtic Mythology, I think is the title of the book. And Bridget is named maybe 6 or 7 times in it, but her name is simply a reference or a hint to something. There's not one substantial story about Bridget in the book, which is interesting. And even present day scholars will argue with you about some of the history of Saint Bridget. They'll argue about her upbringing, her parents, her origins. So really, as a figure, despite how well known she is and how loved she is, there's so much mystery surrounding her. And I think that probably adds to the intrigue, you know?
Yeah, I recognize then there, of course, a bit of what happened on the other side of the water, of the Irish Sea, in Britain, where you have the matter of Britain, the matter of King Arthur, and Arthur is, of course, just as mystical as Bridget is. As there's references to it, to a figure like that, but is he a king or a warlord or whatever? That's not really known. And the other aspect, what surprises me, is that you say that Bridget, the goddess, was a living person, or Bridget, maybe there was a goddess Bridget, like venerated already long before the actual Saint Bridget lived. That makes more sense to me, and we know that especially in these dark ages, just after the Roman conquer of Europe, that so little was written down, that started in the 6th and 7th century, when the Druids became monks and learned to read and write, and then then the scribes started writing down the laws and the memories, and then from a different perspective.
Yeah, and you know, as one of Bridget's aspects is as a poet, you can appreciate how important poetry and the art of word was at that time, because like you said, people weren't writing, you know, not in any kind of excess anyway. So teachings would have been done orally. So you can imagine how they would have clung to their beliefs and their traditions that would have been passed on by word of mouth. And then, you know, this Catholic Church or the Christianity comes in and says, oh, no, it's time to get rid of all of this. You can understand how the people would have wanted to have hung on to that. And it's funny, you know, you think in this day and age where everything we do is documented, everything. And you know, and you'd wonder in maybe 50, 60, 100 years time, will there be somebody canonized, and you'll be in a conversation with somebody and they'll say, oh yeah, I remember seeing that video on Facebook. Yeah, wasn't that the time when his 40th birthday party where you turn the water into Jaeger bombs? You know, you'll have that in the future. But when we go back so far into the past where there wasn't that kind of record keeping, it's why everything is so shrouded in mystery. And for some people, it's very frustrating, because I know a lot of us, when we're trying to make a connection with a deity or even do any kind of research, it's very frustrating when we don't have the science behind it. We all like a little bit of that science. And sometimes it can be hard to just go on the myth or the legends or the word of mouth. You know, it's in any of the pantheons throughout the pagan world. But yeah, I mean, the mystery surrounding Bridget is certainly, I think, what adds to her. And yet, despite all that mystery, she has prevailed. Like she has lasted. And you know, as I said, even the revival now with the matron saint day that she has now on this day week, which is lovely. You know, that's a really big win for the women of Ireland and how Bridget represents.
definitely, yeah. And yeah, what I was thinking, so she became a saint. She got her place in Kildare, isn't it?
Yes, yes. And
How
there's a
would
lovely story behind that. So one of the myths is that at the time Bridget was trying to get a church built in Kildare, and obviously she wouldn't have had the money to buy land, and she approached the chieftain of the land at the time and said to him that she was looking to get some land to build a church. And obviously this chieftain was a little bit tight, and he said to her, well, you'll have to pay for it. And she said, now I'm taking poetic license here, by the way, I'm spinning my own. And so he said, you're going to have to pay for it. And she said, well, I don't have the money, so can you not donate it? It's for a good cause. And they were standing out in the field, and there was a wind blowing, and her cloak was flapping in the breeze. And he said, well, I tell you what, he said, Bridget, I'll give you as much land as your cloak can cover. And Bridget said, oh, is that so? And he said, yes, I'm a man of my word. As much land as your cloak covers, it's yours to keep and build a church upon. And Bridget said, all right then. And she unhooked her cloak and she threw it out across the grass, but it kept growing and growing and growing until eventually it covered acres of land, and the chieftain was begging her to stop. And he said, well, he said, I'm a man of my word. I said you could have as much land as your cloak would cover. And that's how she got her land in Kildare to build her church.
That's a miracle.
Yes, yes, yeah. And then the story goes on to say that in the days after she performed this miracle, the locals came to the grounds in the mornings when the grass was wet with dew, and they tore strips off their clothes and soaked them in the dew, and then they used these cloths for healing. And also the tradition of cluties, so that's Clouties, where you tie a little rag to a tree to petition a deity or ask for spiritual intercession, and apparently that came from that too. So
Interesting.
Interesting.
And yeah, and as a goddess of the blacksmith, so she's also related to the element of fire.
yes, yeah, yeah.
And
Well, I think she's related to three elements.
okay.
She has fire, which is the fire of inspiration and transformation, and then you have healing, which is water. She's the guardian of wells and water, and then air when it comes to poetry and the written word. And that's possibly part of her triple, because she's a triple goddess. Her three aspects. So
Yeah, or the three sisters, like you mentioned, that they all
yes,
represent one. Okay,
yeah,
very interesting.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And do we find more similar goddesses around the world, or look, all the pantheons have the same archetypes: gods of war, gods of
Mm.
are there similar goddesses that you know of?
I don't know. I mean, I know that within the Celtic pantheon, there are sort of variations of Bridget, and again, that's where scholars will argue, and some will say that they're all the same person.
Yeah,
There are different aspects of Bridget, but they all come together. But I don't know really many of the other pantheons that I could compare. I mean, even goddess Bridget's origins, some will say that her mother was Danu, and others say it was the Morrigan. So,
yeah. And Danu and the Morrigan, or Danu could be an aspect of the Morrigan.
yes, this is it.
So
This
so
is
it,
it.
it can work. It can work
Yeah,
as said. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
And of course, here in Kerry, we
Amazing
are.
how everything. Sorry. Go ahead, Jan.
Yeah, here in Kerry, we are very committed to Danu, or Anu as we call her here.
Yeah.
I actually live on one of the two paps of Anu here in Kerry. It's just in my backyard.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah, and and then of course we have the stone circle of the seven sisters, which are the Morrigu and the three um, goddesses of Ireland. There's seven altogether, the daughters of Ernmus. So yeah,
Mhm.
and there we have, and if Anu then is the mother of Bridget, wow, can't get any better.
Yeah, yeah. And really, I think that despite all the mystery and the questions about her origins and did she do this and did she do that, I think when it comes to deities like this, what people are drawn to is the aspects that follow through, the theme that follows through all of them. And for me personally, with Brigid, it's all about transformation, that fire of transformation.
Yeah.
And that carries through for me as a creative, as an author, that carries through to my work and how I would feel Brigid's energy is such when I'm creating. It's that moment, I think, when your heart quickens when you're working on something, or that idea sparks, and all of a sudden it's all you can think about. She's part of that alchemy of creativity, reminding us that when you're inspired by something, the next step has to be action, because without the action, the inspiration stays only as inspiration. And that feeds, to me as a tarot reader, that feeds into aces, because to me ace energy is that beautiful, fabulous inspiration that we get when there's a new idea, or there's a new beginning, or a new opportunity. But all the wonderful inspiration in the world isn't going to do you any good unless you take action. And I love when I'm reading and I get an ace and a knight, because the knights are such doers. They're such action heroes, there's yay. So when I see an ace and a knight together, and I just think that's what you want. You want to smush together that energy, the excitement of the ace, but the actual doing of the knight. And to me, that's real Brigid energy when you get those two together, because she's reminding us that the inspiration that we have, it needs action, and in order to form something beautiful. And that beautiful doesn't have to be some mad, big, elaborate, huge creative project. That can be something as simple as baking a bread, or cupcakes, or knitting, or something, writing a piece of poetry, journaling, anything. It's when the idea and the action come together, and that to me is part of the fire element of Brigid's aspect.
Okay.
Very interesting. Thank you for sharing that. Before we go any further, and I will ask you about the other elements as well as card aspect, and there are a few interesting comments here which I would like to read to you. First of all, when you were talking about Brigid, Jan, Richard wrote, "I think her father was a druid, Jan." Which could explain all the wisdom she carries. And when you were talking, and when Jan asked about worshipping Brigid in the different countries, he said that she is honored in Brittany as well. So it's definitely wider. And the Herb School says, "I like to make a Brigid's cross with 3 legs instead of 4. It is my favorite one." And let's maybe, before we get deeper into the elements, let's talk a little bit about the cross, since the Herb School mentioned it. What is actually the cross, and what does it symbolize?
Well, Jan, you have your cross there. I'll probably fall over if I try and take mine down. I'll tell you, as an Irish person, and hello, Denise from the Herb School, by the way. It's lovely to see you here. We haven't spoken in ages. I know Denise, and if anybody's interested in medicinal herbs and foraging, go and check out Denise's website. It's absolutely amazing, and she's a wonderful person with so much wisdom and information when it comes to plants. The Brigid's cross, we would have learned how to make them in school when we were in primary school, and I remember making them, but I honestly, today, I'd have to get up on YouTube and have a look at a video, because I can't remember. But Jan, you show your one off there, because you have a nice one.
Yeah, this is a self-built one, or a self-made one, as you can see. It survived already a bit of time. I think it must have been 3 or 4 years ago that I crafted this one, and it's still with me, and it's above my door, and it's also in the place in my cabin where I find my inspiration for everything.
Yeah, mine sits above my altar in my bedroom, but they're really, for blessings and good luck and healing as well, health. That's my understanding of what the crosses are, and I think the idea is, as you weave them, you weave your intentions into them.
That's such a strong spiritual action to weave your intentions in things, as druids and pagans, but also as life coaches. We always say, act and think positive or creative at the same time, and you'll make it manifest. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
And I think it's the one of the most common traditions within the Irish houses to make the cross around Imbolc. Like, I made this one myself as well. I'm not the most talented person in terms of the manuals, and it was a really challenging but fun experience. And it's on my altar as well. And I believe that's one of the most recognizable symbols in Ireland as well. You can find it anywhere, in every Irish house. Absolutely fantastic story with putting in, you said, sorry, I have difficulties with expressing myself today for some reason. I love how you said that building that across is the process of manifesting and weaving the dreams and inspiration, and planting the seeds, because this time of the year it's all about planting the seeds, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And
Yes.
planting the seed, and without planting the seed, nature starts manifesting itself right now. You know, where we see the daffodils, the snowdrops, and I saw in my my briars the first leaves were already trying to get out. And today, when I was working in the garden, and yeah, nature is already waking up, and that's
No,
the
it's
element.
lovely.
Yeah, that's what. But of course, what's the representation of Imbolc, of nature, of spring, beginning of.
Julie, we have this ongoing conversation with Jan about Brigid and elements and representation in tarot. Jan sees Brigid more as a high priestess. Because of the element creativity, for me, I would say that Brigid is the empress. And what about you? What is your insight, and what is your view on that?
Yeah, you're going to be sorry you asked that now, because I have about 13 cards in tarot that I find representations of Brigid in.
Oh,
Yes, it
wow.
does. It starts with the high priestess. I would definitely agree that. And Brigid's wisdom. I'll hold this up now to the camera and hopefully you can see it.
Oh, look at her.
Yeah, there's a bit of a glare on it.
Wow.
No, it's beautiful.
So this deck is called the Tarot de la Nuit. But yeah, certainly within the high priestess, we have the theme of wisdom. Know thyself is the sort of words of the high priestess, and I feel that Brigid would have represented that very well, because Brigid knew herself in both her goddess and her saint form. As I said, we know more stories about her saint form than we would in her goddess form, but certainly she knew herself. She knew she didn't want to be married. She knew she wanted the land for her church. She knew what she was doing. That's another. Ooh, it's very hard to do this the other way around. This deck is called the Heaven and Earth Tarot.
Wow.
Wow.
I particularly like these images because they're so serene. And in this one, she has the book on her lap is closed, and on the previous one, the book is open. If you can see there.
Yeah.
And the high priestess often shows the triple moons. Now in this one, this is from the Four Hacks of Tarot. I'm probably not pronouncing that correctly. It's by MJ Cullinan. In this one now we have all the phases of the moon along the bottom, which I love.
Oh, yeah,
But you have the triple aspect of Brigid is often reflected in the high priestess card. You'll often see 3 moons. And then the high priestess is represented by the element of water, and so is Brigid with her healing. I also On occasion, I think it depends on the spread. It depends on the client, but I often feel that the magician has aspects of Brigid in it too, because Brigid is all about transformation, and this is, and alchemy, and especially now from this deck, this is the Tarot Illuminati, and in this deck, the magician is called the Alchemist, which I think is such a great name for the magician, because we have
I
with
agree
Brigid,
with
she
you.
has that alchemy of creativity. And that while there isn't an
Mm.
obvious representation of fire in this one, my guess is that this blue that's working its way around it, that shows the lemon skate on top and moves around the bottom, my guess is that's fire, like blue mystical fire or something. But it depends on, you see, the magician sometimes when it appears in a spread, can have that sort of mischievous Loki energy about it. And I think sometimes maybe Brigid energy could be that, and other times I think the magician energy can be a little bit more manipulative, which is not Brigid.
No.
Um,
And the magician also often called the trickster, of course.
yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Now the Empress, yes, absolutely. I would agree that the Empress is definitely a card that represents Brigid.
Yeah.
I mean, this one especially now, she's got hairs and everything, and see up at the top of the card, and they're
What a card.
yeah, it's beautiful. That's also from the Four Hacks of Tarot. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, but
And that element also depends on, like you said, depends on the deck as well, probably,
yeah,
because I'm an avid reader of the Toss Tarot, and here the Empress is pregnant, while Bridget didn't want to get married and probably wouldn't have been pregnant either.
yes, exactly.
But
And in this deck,
that's why I'm a bit biased towards her high priestess
yeah,
aspect, and not towards the motherly aspect, which is much stronger in the Empress, of course.
yeah, like this deck here now is the oh, it'll come to me. It'll come to me. I have too many. But this one here, she gives me vibes of Maleficent. That was played by Angelina Jolie with the
Absolutely. Yeah.
horns coming out of her head. But it's still a very kick-ass, Empress card. She still looks like she means business in this one. And then in the Tarot Illuminati,
Yeah.
She's so lush in this card. I mean, this one to me is really a very strong representation of Brigid.
Yeah.
The red cloak, she's sitting in the fields. I mean, you can imagine her pulling off that cloak and throwing it over the grass in front of the chieftain.
My favorite deck as well. One of my
Yeah.
favorites. Yeah,
I have to be in the mood to read with this deck, though.
yeah.
I
Well,
find that I often come away from reading with this, and my head is a little. There's a lot in every card.
oh,
It's a beautiful deck, but
it's
I
very
have to be in the
detailed.
right mindset to read with
Yeah,
that deck.
yeah, you're right.
Now, my next choice for Brigid within tarot is strength.
Oh yeah.
Mm.
I
Yeah.
think that really the message and
Absolutely.
strength of fortitude and inner grace is so much reflects Brigid. Your perseverance, pushing ahead, and there's no need for violence. It's just calm, gentle, inner grace will still get the job done.
Agreed.
I love that card. And then there's another representation of from the Illuminati tarot.
Oh,
That's a lovely
beautiful.
one too.
I'm
And I
actually
feel
Go ahead, Julie.
I often feel with this card that it's the Empress is gotten up off her throne to get up and hug the line. Well, we know she's not really hugging the line, she's taming it. But I love the idea that she's got up off her throne, had a big stretch, and go, oh, look, there's a line. I'll go and deal with that.
And I'm glad you bring this card to the table today. Before we had our meeting, I was meditating to tap into the energy, and strength card was exactly what came to me as an embodiment of that strength and the power and ability to overcome obstacles, like the story you shared with getting a land for the church. That's the strength card for me.
Yes,
wonderful.
Definitely. And now the next one, because of her transformation and how, she shifts from one to the next, is, of course, death, because that is the card of transformation. This is, I think, is a really beautiful representation of death. Anna has seen some of these because I was bombarding her during the week with photographs. This is one of my newest decks, and I'm obsessed with it.
What's the name of it?
It's the Tarot de la Nuit.
Oh, that's the Tarot of the Night. De la Nuit, yeah.
Yeah. Alexandra Bach, I think, is the illustrator, possibly. But yeah, with death and the whole theme of transformation and, you know, fire, how fire transforms, that's reflected too in the death card.
Yeah.
This one I love because she has wings, and it really speaks of transformation because of how butterflies come out of their cocoon and they transform into butterflies, or moths, I should say, go into the cocoon. But that's another nice one. The next card on my list of Empress is Temperance. And this is where we get into the element of water and healing. Temperance is a very healing card, and it speaks of balance as well. You know, temperance is that sweet spot where your emotions are at an even keel. And I feel that that's represented by Brigid too. There's another one of temperance from that 4 Hacks of Tarot. Again, we have the theme of wings. Yeah. Then
This
next up, of course,
the last one. The images are so different to the regular images of the card.
Yes.
And
yeah, they are. The next one then is the Star.
Yeah.
Because I think Brigid brings so much hope. You know, we have the fire of inspiration here and new ideas. I think this is, again, you know, often, like I said, it depends on the cards that you have within your spread and what you're reading for. But these are cards, in my experience, where I have felt Brigid energy has come through. And then the next one is the Sun.
Yeah.
Again, we have fire, we have inspiration, we have positivity. That's a really joyful sun card, isn't it, with that moon? It kind of reminds me of the Teletubbies for some reason. I don't know why. You know, the sun that comes out in the Teletubbies cartoon. I'm sure the creators of this deck wouldn't like that, but it's a nice one.
oh,
You'll probably
yeah, but
laugh
that's
about
the
it.
sun from Teletubbies. You're so right.
And there's a more there's another one of the sun as well. I love that one because I feel like I can, and this one as well, actually, with these two cards, this one in particular, whenever I draw it speaks to me of early morning, of dawn, and I feel like I can almost smell the dew in the air when I look at this card for some reason. And it always makes me think of when Brigid threw her cloak across the land, and then people were soaking their clooties in the dew the following morning. For some reason, when I see this card, I can almost smell that lovely, fresh, early morning grass. I have the Ace of Cups next. Again, the element of water and healing, but also new beginnings, inspiration.
Yeah, the start of something, yeah.
Yes, yeah. But as I said, that water will just flow away and be nothing without action being taken alongside with it. There's another one from the Illuminati Tarot. I think these are really joyful representations of the Ace of Cups.
Very.
Yeah. And then I have the Three of Wands, because with this one, it's all about community and coming together. I especially love this one because it's
Three of Cups. I mean,
Three of Cups. What did I say?
You mentioned Wands.
Three of Wands.
Oh, did I?
but I saw immediately. I think these are the cups.
Yeah, these are cups.
Yeah. And that's of course that's the celebration and the togetherness and the family feeling and the friends feeling. Yeah.
Yeah. And because of the triple aspect of Brigid as well.
Yeah.
You know, if it was three sisters, well, maybe here they all are celebrating.
Yeah. And the Three of Cups is so
Mhm.
often depicted with three ladies
Yes, three
raising the
women.
glass.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Raising the
And
cup,
again,
sorry.
with the Three of Cups, I often feel it's about the healing of community too that you get. You know, when you have a group of women like that together, supporting each other and uplifting each other, there's a lot of healing in that.
Oh,
And this is
absolutely.
one of my favorite representations ever of the Ace of Wands. And as you can see, she has a little keyhole in the front of her chest there.
Mhm.
And this to me really speaks of that piece of with the aces, without putting a key in that lock and turning it, you're never going to see what's on the other side. You're never going to open that door. So I love this representation on the ace because I think it really is a very strong prompt that inspiration is amazing when it's there, but until you do something with it, it will remain as just a lock without a key.
Prompt
There's
for action.
Okay.
Yeah.
there's another very cheerful Ace of Wands card. A lot going on with that one. I like this one because it has such a feeling of creativity about it when you're gathering all your bits and pieces to start your project, whatever it may be. I think it's a really juicy, creative feeling of this card.
Yeah. Yeah. And the hand coming of the cloud is of course a thing that you see a lot in the Golden Dawn
Yes. Yeah.
representations, like the Rider-Waite-Smith.
Yes. Yeah.
The
Then we have
manifestation
the
beauty.
Queen
Yeah.
of Wands.
Oh yeah.
This is a lovely one. And she's even got her black cat in her lap. How could you not like this
Yeah.
card?
Yeah.
She's a real witchy woman in this. But
Yeah.
Wands being all about, inspiration and creativity and drive and passion. It's her driving force. I think this is another really great representation of Brigid.
Of course. Yeah, I like the sovereignty aspect of the Queen of
Yeah,
Wands as well.
yeah,
Being in charge.
yes. And then the last one, because I don't want to leave out a suit, although no, there were no pentacles in there, so I'm talking through my hat. The last one is one of my favorite cards in tarot, which is the Six of Swords. And this is the card about journeying and transforming from one state to another. I think the Tarot Illuminati shows it really well because it's a
Yeah.
woman in a boat,
Yeah.
and the water to the front of the boat here at the bottom of the card is choppy, but on the far side it's smoother. And again, it speaks of air, and which it's the element of air which talks about the written word and communication.
Yeah.
And to me, it's a really strong representation of how the spoken word has the power to heal.
Yeah. And what I like in the Six of Swords, that it's in the sword suit, it's the last card to turn back.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean? From the
Yeah.
six on, they all get
Yeah.
they'll
Yeah.
you'll get messy.
Yeah, there's not a lot of warm and fuzzies in the swords, and that's one of the few cards that when it pops up, I kind of go, oh yeah, that's okay, because the Seven of Swords is one of the cards I dislike the most, and then I just really like this Six of Swords from this deck
Oh
because
yeah.
it really is the sense of taking flight.
Yeah. Taking flight, so make the journey and don't stay stuck
Yeah,
in the negativity,
yeah,
in the bad vibes, and the last point of return.
yeah. So to me, really with Bridget, it's all about that energy of transformation, and how when whether it's through healing or whether it's through the written word or whether it's through your creativity, it's how that aspect of change and facing up to change, allowing the fire to burn something away and create something new. It's all about clearing out that thing that no longer serves
Yeah.
and bringing in something new into the space that's left behind from it. Or if there's something that has just been altered, if it's your mindset that's altered, you're still creating space for something new to come in.
That's it.
Well, Julie, you were wrong. I do not regret asking that question. I am actually obsessed with the way how you explained everything, and it makes so sense to me, especially with her story and her history. You mentioned it just all intertwines in a beautiful, beautiful story. As an author, was Brigid an inspiration for you in terms of maybe you wrote something about her? Or was there a character based on Brigid?
No, I can't say that as a figure, as a person, she's ever inspired me to base a character on her. But I do love the idea of transformation within a story arc, especially when it's characters and there's a redemption for a character. I do like that, and I think part of that fire of transformation comes through in some of my plot lines. I do like, when there's a something that has to be dealt with and that it's faced and that the character faces it and makes the change or makes the transformation. So yeah, no, I wouldn't have ever, it's put the thought in my head now though, so thanks for that, Luna. I've a new book to write and then or to start writing in the next couple of weeks, so that now actually has put a thought in my head. But yeah, not up to date, no, I'll say. Yeah.
And speaking of your writing, on the screen you can see Julie's one of her websites, and this is the website which is connected with your writing work, with your books. So please go to julieembleton.com and you will see some wonderful work there. Julie has written 10 books so far, and she shared that the next one is already bubbling within her. So I'm looking forward for the next one.
Do you self-publish, Julie?
I do. I
Wow.
do it all by myself independently. Yeah. Been doing it now for about 13 or 14 years. Yeah, I wouldn't
Still
change.
happy to be in charge of what you're doing,
Yes,
obviously.
there's a lot of freedom in it. Yes, there's a lot more pressure because, well, I don't even think now so much anymore. I mean, when I started off writing, traditional publishing was seen as, the golden goose. If you could get your book traditionally published, because they would have had, traditional publishers would give you your editor, they give you your marketing and your advertising, they do all of that for you. But that has all changed now. Yes, they'll still edit your book for you, but authors are now responsible for the main part for all their promotion and marketing and advertising. So I think when I started out, that would have been one of the main draws of trad publishing, is having somebody doing all the social media stuff for you, because I've yet to meet an author who goes, I love social media, I love promoting myself, I love advertising my books, because we all hate it.
Of course.
But with independent publishing, we are in control of everything, and there is power in that, And I mean, life happens, and I could say to you that I'm planning on publishing a book, let's say the 1st of June, and then life happens, and it could be that it doesn't get published until July or August. And really, at the end of the day, it's not a big deal. But if you're dealing with, contracts, and you've made a promise to somebody, that's a very different kind of pressure. And I've learned so much through being an independent author. I've learned so much technically, believe it or not. Even though Luna today was sending me the link, and I was going, what do I do with this? I've learned so much technically from it, and I've made some really, really good friends through the writing community. So I love it. And now the touchstone is not traditional publishing. Now it's to get your books up on Netflix or Prime or Passionflix. That's
Yeah.
the big one now. So it's amazing how it's shifted so much, even since I started sort of 13 years ago.
Isn't it that embodiment of Brigid, the transformation, how things transform, how the market transforms, how people like you take things into their hands, and like the strength card, just tame the beast and make things happen with all the ones. Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Julie, within your practice, do you do anything special to celebrate Brigid? Have you got any rituals?
I do. I'm not one now for highfalutin, complicated ritual. I like to keep it very simple with stuff that's lying around the house. I'm not into buying all the bits and bobs and shiny things. So I have a few little rituals here I've brought this evening, and they're all very simple, and they're easy. Most people, I feel, would have these ingredients at home, and if they don't, they're items that are really easily sourced. So they're not expensive. They're easily done. So the first is a really simple one, and it's just to light a candle to welcome in spring. And it can be as simple as one candle all on its own, a little tea light, or any kind of candle that you have. But you could also put some herbs around it. You could anoint it with a little bit of essential oil. You could put a cup of water or milk on the side. So within my practice, I would have correspondences that would relate to Brigid. And I'll go through some of them here for you very quickly. So in terms of elements, we have fire, water, and air. With food, we have water and milk. Herbs would be rosemary, heather, bay, and thyme. So as I was saying, with a candle, you could put a little bit of, you could grab the rosemary from your kitchen cupboard and sprinkle a little bit around the base of the candle. Or if you have a bay tree or you have thyme, you could very easily add those. Plants include snowdrops, crocus, dandelions with the lovely yellow head for the sun, sage, chamomile, acorns, oak, corn, shamrock, and rushes and straw, which is what the St. Brigid's cross is traditionally made with. Correspondences with animals are lambs, ewes, farm and domesticated animals, and the fox and the swan. Crystals are carnelian, amethyst, red jasper, fire agate. I think really any crystal that's red that would represent fire. So any of the red or orange crystals will work. Colors would be white, yellow, red, green, and blue. And then the planet Venus, which of course is represented in the Empress card as well, actually, and I forgot to mention that earlier. So when you're doing any of these rituals with those correspondences, which I know Luna's going to put in the show notes, you could gather any of those items and put them with the candle. Another very simple ritual is a cleansing bath. So it's just pour yourself a bath, maybe with some Epsom salts, and you can add in rosemary or any kind of essential oils with the citrus scent. So grapefruit, orange, lemon, whatever you like. And you could light candles around the bath with that and then sit there and have a chat with Brigid in your mind if that's what floats your boat. Or you could sit there and go through your tarot cards. You could make a cleaning spray, or a cleansing spray, I should say. And this is a really nice one that, obviously you can use at this time of year, but you can use any time, and you can swap out the herbs or crystals within it to suit the season. But specifically for this time of year, it's just about getting a clean spray bottle and putting some clean water in it. You could use tap water, you could use water that's boiled. And then to that, you can add your own essential oils, anything that relates to Brigid. You could add a few leaves of sage. You could throw in a couple of little crystal chips, anything like that, and then just give the bottle a good shake. And then you can use it to spritz around a room or spritz on your bed sheets, or if you have a working altar, you can spritz it around your altar. You could spritz it around the entrance to your house or your windows for protection. Another lovely ritual for this time of year is following the theme of sowing, and that is to plant some seeds. And you could actually plant your own seeds for rosemary, bay, or sage, which are plants of Brigid, and heather. And the idea is you sow them and you tend to them and you nurture them. And what you can do is you can write out your intention on a little piece of paper and put it in the soil with the seeds. And as that seed grows and the little growth appears up out of the soil, you can see how your intention is also growing. I think that's a really nice one to do at this time of year. And if you're sowing something like rosemary, that's a plant that you will go on to use then within ritual, which is lovely. And you'll have drawn it, you'll have grown it from scratch. So I think that's a really symbolic ritual for this time of year. And then, for the foodies, for people who like to cook and bake, any foods with honey, citrus, pancakes with lemon and honey is a great one. That's a really traditional dish at this time of year. Lemon drizzle cake, anything like that. So any foods that would bring in the theme of milk and fire, so sun. So you're thinking of citrus fruits and that kind of thing. And of course, making the cross, the St. Brigid's cross, and weaving your intention into it as you're folding the rushes, your intentions for the year ahead or even the season ahead, whichever sits with you. So they're my few little rituals for you, all very simple.
Yeah. Would you do some affirmations, like speaking to Brigid or thinking thoughts in her direction?
Yeah. So I have a
Boom, there she goes.
Oh, Julie disappeared. She actually warned us that it might happen,
Yeah,
and then she's back.
yes, there she is again.
Am I here?
Hello.
You're back.
What?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we called you. Where are you?
Can you hear me now? Okay. Yeah, so this is a petition I wrote to Brigid a few years ago. And again, I think I gave it to you, Luna, for the show notes. Yes.
Yeah.
So I like it. It's the kind of petition that you could use if you have a very set intention in mind as a creative. It's nice to use this if maybe you're suffering from creative block or you're looking for some divine inspiration. I'll read it out to you here. Goddess Brigid, Mother of light and flame, I call on you to blaze kindly into my life. Mother of creativity, a light on my tongue, dance in my heart, and inspire my hands. Guardian of water and wells, I welcome your healing and inspiration. May the alchemical force of your creative energy fill my cauldron. Mother of milk and water, thank you for your nourishment and blessings.
Beautiful.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Thank you for sharing. I will put that in the description for those who want to connect with it more. It'll be in the description box below this video.
So it's just in time for doing your own rituals. This show.
Yeah.
Yeah, timing is perfect. A week ahead.
Yes, exactly. And then if there's anything you do need, you have time to nip out and get it, plants or herbs or essential oils, or to do your own research and craft your own ritual.
Yeah, and traditionally you could start. Of course, you could start already on the 1st of February.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh well, I would definitely light a candle to Brigid now on the 1st of February. I would be doing that candle ritual on the 1st.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Julie, you mentioned animals and the power of healing animals. And Denise from Herb School says there is another one, the Brigid cross, that just has 2 legs. It looks like a V shape. I'm not sure if I'm familiar with that one, so I will have to do my research, because I'm very intrigued by that, because she says that it was used to protect the animals in the barns or stables.
No, I haven't heard of that one either. I'd love to see that. That's the first I've heard of that one.
Thank you for sharing that, Denise. I can probably the 3 of us after this live will go online and do the research. Lovely. Thank you. All right.
So that was Brigid.
Yeah. I know, Julie, that you have a special treat prepared for us. Yes, recently there was a deck printed, and the deck is dedicated to Brigid itself. And the reason I'm asking about is I don't have this deck, but I spoke to an author who shared the story of how this deck was created, and I'm very curious to see, because she said that the messages she channeled were very, very powerful. So would it be okay to pull a card for our viewers with a message from Brigid?
I will do that for you now. And I am very new to this deck, so I will read what the card means from the book, because I'm not working with it long enough yet. I've drawn a couple of cards over the last week or 2, and I've had some really interesting and cards that have really synchronized with things that have been going on in my own life. So I've already, and as you can see from the back of the cards, there's a Brigid's cross on it.
Oh, wow, beautiful.
Wow.
Pretty, yeah.
What you can also see on the screen is the creativesoultarot.com, which it is the Julie's website where you can book a reading. There is also a wonderful blog which I recommend to just dive in Julie writes about wonderful and magical stuff. So I'm not going to share more. Just go and have a look yourself. I absolutely recommend. And I look at the screen actually, and I can see abundance of tarot readers. You can feel free to book a reading with any of us. We're all available. Our calendars are open. So there is Julie, there is Jan. Perhaps I'll share his address right now, tiantetarot.com, and myself, Guided by Luna. I can't see my eyes. Oh, there it is. guidedbyluna.com as well, which is for some reason not showing up on the screen, but it doesn't matter. Anyway, I can see that Julie is done shuffling.
I have drawn a card, and what has come out is friendship.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Loyal companion. And what it says is, you have dear friends who love you. Someone is not a true ally, so watch your back. Your companionship is valued and sought after. You make acquaintances easily.
I think I recognize the style of the deck. Is it by the same makers as the Celtic Moon Tarot?
Yes,
Yes.
the Moon
and the Moon Ra?
Yes, that's
Karen
Karen.
Ward and Bernie Sexton.
Yeah. Oh,
People
lovely.
behind the Women's Celtic Circles, moonmana.ie.
Moon Ra, yeah.
Yeah, so if anybody's interested, I would definitely hop up online and take a look. It's a lovely deck. It's really nice, and it covers. I can't get used to this mirror screen.
We always confuse all the
We all struggle with it.
I swear I have not been drinking, but I feel like this is what it might be like to do a live if you're drunk when there's a mirror screen on.
That's why sometimes, Julie, you can see us pointing in a completely
Yeah.
different direction.
It's a lovely deck. It's very, very nice. I thoroughly. Well, you do know that Brigid turned water into ale, so maybe my green tea here has turned into Captain Morgan's rum or something. You never know.
Wow.
But yes, it's a lovely deck. So
I had the privilege to have my stand just opposite Karen on the mind body experience in Dublin. So I heard many stories about and all the pain they were both going through creating this deck. But it was wonderful to observe how they work as a team. Because it's all about women coming together, creating and transforming through sometimes pain into something beautiful and something touches their heart.
yeah, very much so. And that really does encompass as well the whole spirit of Brigid, with community and coming together and healing. So yeah, it's lovely.
Wonderful. And speaking of friendships, my beloved friend, and I'm lucky enough to be her family, my cousin Magdalena. It's her birthday today. So my lovely, lovely Magdalena, happy birthday and all the best.
Happy birthday, Magda.
Yes. Wonderful, wonderful. Is there anything you would like to add about Brigid, just to sum up? Julie?
She's a kick-ass energy, and I would invite everyone to work with Brigid. In a lot of Brigid imagery, she's seen standing over a huge big cauldron, stirring the cauldron. And I love the idea is that if we were to stir our own cauldron and see what happens, what bubbles up to the surface in terms of creativity or inspiration, and why not let the cauldron bubble over and see what's left behind? There again, we have the fire of transformation. So yeah, that would be my closing piece on Brigid.
Thank you very much. And
So much.
if you happen to go through a creativity block, Julie is definitely a person to go. She specializes with reading tarot for creative souls who want to tap into that energy even more. Thank you so much, Julie. It was so wonderful to have you here.
Thank you. It was lovely to be here. I really enjoyed it. Thank you both so much.
I hope
Thank
it's
you.
the first one, but not the last one. It was wonderful to hear all your stories and beautiful, have this beautiful energy and the beautiful smile of yours.
Thank you.
Yeah, wonderful. So what's up for the coming week, Luna?
That's a good question.
I have an idea.
Tell me.
We're doing a series on the Fool's Journey, and this week a card that has already been on the table in this show, the Empress is on card number 3, and we're going to in a separate video, pre-recorded, we're going to explain what the Fool learns from the Empress, and because we're running out of time, we're not going to elaborate on the Empress here. We might do that on the same show. I think there'll be somewhere around Wednesday or Thursday that will upload that one, and we get crazy good results of these single card shows. So we keep on doing that.
Absolutely. There, last time we had an amazing conversation about intuition, and it's all inspired by tarot. So I absolutely recommend going back and watching that if you haven't already. Yes.
And what I remember from the last show, Luna, that we had this lovely quote, and it crossed my mind today again. The quote, "Knowing and not doing is the same as not knowing," and of course it's also in Brigid's idea, trying to manifest but not taking action is the same as not
Yes.
trying to manifest.
Yeah.
Action is everything you do and aspire and are inspired by. It always needs action.
Absolutely. I think I shared this before. When I began my journey of awakening, I thought if I'm going to meditate enough and just think and see things with my third eye, things will magically come to me. And I think that's the biggest trap we got into, because we have that belief that only in this realm it can somehow magically happen, and it's not true. It's all about the taking in, coming out from that element of air into the fire, which is the action, which is the doing, taking step one after another, taking that leap of faith, which the fool does, and then manifest things into reality by doing, by acting on it. And it's super important to stress that out.
Yeah, and and in that perspective, I love the concept of baby steps. If you take one big leap and you miss, you'll end up in the abyss. But if you take a lot of mini steps and an occasional step isn't the right one, you're still on track, And so step by step, manifest your dream, like the book is started by the first word you put on paper or on screen or whatever. It's always the first step that leads to an end result.
Last question before we go, Julie.
That
What
was
is
lovely.
your next step as an author? What are you planning? You mentioned that there is another book wanting to come out. So what is your plan?
Yes. So I published a book called Moonstone and Mugwort in October, which is the first book of a brand new series called Oath and Legacy. And it's a dark fantasy series, and it features a lot of witchcraft and tarot, and of course vampires and witches, because you just can't have a good dark fantasy book unless there's a sexy vampire in it. But it's in a fictional town called Calnalock, but Calnalock is actually based on my hometown of Skerries here on the east coast of Ireland. So that book was published in October and ended on a really cruel cliffhanger, which a lot of my readers are really disappointed about. But so I have that sequel now to write. I'll be starting that in the next couple of weeks, and I'm hoping I will have that published. I won't give a date. I'm kind of hoping it'll be maybe late summer, but we'll see how it goes. I'll just kind of surf with it and see what happens. But that's what's on with me.
Yeah, let's weave that into St. Brigid's cross.
Yes, and I'm also going to give out a shout out actually to Art Angel in Skerries, run by the beautiful Neve, who's also an artist. And in the next few weeks, I'll be starting to do in-house tarot readings in Art Angel in Skerries. That will all be up on my website when the time comes. So
Oh,
I'll mention that as well now too. And hello to Neve if she's watching.
wonderful. Hello.
Hello, Neve.
All right. As hard it is to stop this conversation, I'm really enjoying it, and we could go and go on for a long time. But I think it's time to say goodbye now. For those who are watching and haven't subscribed just yet, make our dreams come true to grow and be a big channel about spirituality. Go to play. So if you haven't already, please subscribe, like our channel, like this video, and check out Julie's pages as well. Check out her work, and see you next Monday at 8 o'clock as always.
Bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thanks. Bye.